As we told you from the onset, the gladiators in the political crisis engulfing River State are still unrelenting and holding fast to their deep-seated positions in the personality clash between incumbent Governor Sim Fubara and his predecessor in office, Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike. This comes at a time that a series of litigations are going on in the court. On Friday, however, a River State High Court barred the Speaker of the State House of Assembly and 24 other lawmakers from parading themselves as members of the legislative body. Our rights correspondent, Andy Omano, turning the following report before yesterday's court ruling.
Like a recurring decimal, the political crisis which boiled over last October with the burning of the hallowed chambers of the House of Assembly in Rivers State is booting freshly again. While the complex was immediately pulled down by the executive after that unfortunate incident for failing integrity test, President Bola Tinubu came to the rescue with what is today referred to as the 8-point presidential peace pact. But since then, there has been no love lost between the executive and the legislative arms of government, with the peace pact brokered by President Tinubu. Regrettably, the political crisis has led to different factions and those sympathetic to them seeking legal redress. For instance, the case instituted by the Rivers Elders Forum questioning the legitimacy of the 27 lawmakers of the State House of Assembly is currently on appeal, having been thrown out in the High Court. There is also that filed at the Federal High Court in Abuja by the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, Martins Amehule, against Governor Siminalayi Fubara, the National Assembly, and others. Like last year, the Rivers political firmament is about to boil again. The APC leadership in the state is this time around asking its 27 legislators to commence impeachment proceedings against Governor Fubara for daring to renege on the implementation of the 8-point presidential peace pact. Those in the political camp of the legislators who are sympathetic to the former governor and FCT minister Nyesom Wike support the action.
Honorable Justice James Kolawole Omotosho, the judge of the Federal High Court in Abuja, had given a judgment on the speakership of Rivers State. If that matter has been touched upon, I'm not sure the lawmakers lack legitimacy. The governor should ask questions. The governor should go to court if he feels that and seek for interpretation. He has gone to a particular court, Honorable Justice Chiwendo Wogo, and that matter was thrown out. So what the governor is saying is just he's merely clutching to straws because I think it is almost morning on Creation Day.
As he came in, he needed to act and take control of the state, believing that he has his boss, whom he calls his Oga. Do you understand? So when this group of persons began to stoke one problem or the other in the system, we began to wonder, is this the hand of Jacob and the face of Esau? Because you can imagine where a group will go to the court to challenge the constitutionality of an out-of-court settlement or a settlement. I know that there is conflict resolution and it has different types of resolution. It can be in the court, can be out of court.
But others at home with Governor Fubara are crying blue murder. To them, the impeachment call is luck taken too far.
It would amount to illegality after the governor has signed the Appropriation Act into law to go back and represent it. That does not show anything. So the governor is working according to law while he's carrying along the political agreement. There are certain things the governor is doing that is within his powers and within the constitutional rights of the governor to do. So allowing those people to sit does not make them legitimate. They are illegitimate according to law. And let us not forget that whatever they do is sub judice because there's an ongoing case about their legitimacy in court as we speak. So they have no right to ask the governor to come and do anything to that assembly because it will amount to prince judice on the part of the governor if he even assents to that whatever their demands they are making.
The Rivers people are not happy with what this House of Assembly people are doing, but because we are in court, let them wait and see when the court pronouncement is made. When the court take a decision, then Rivers people will know what to do with them. But we are saying, well, you cannot put something on nothing. You cannot put legality on illegality. The whole process is illegal. They are no longer members of the House of Assembly by virtue of Section 109, and their seat has been declared vacant, and the Court of Competent Jurisdiction has accepted that verdict. I don't know what they are still waiting for. And they did not appeal.
Festus Oguche is a legal practitioner. He speaks on the legal issues surrounding the lingering political crisis.
Even the chief judge, whom the matter will finally go to appoint the committee, the panel, to look into the notice of impeachment and study the grounds and allegations and find out whether actually it is worthy of impeachment. He has to be very careful, because the issue concerning the defection of the members of the House of Assembly is pending in a court of competence. I guess by now it is at the Court of Appeal.
Oguche also has a word of advice for Mr. President.
If I am in the shoes of the president, not minding that probably I could be his advisor also, I'll remind myself that I swore to an oath to uphold the provisions of the Constitution. And that is what the situation demands now from Mr. President, not by any agreement or whatsoever. The provisions of the Constitution must prevail. In that manner, you're also giving vent and strength to its legitimacy, to its acceptance, that people can now look at it and hold it as the sacred instrument upon which they hold the government to account. And that is very important.
But the convener of the Rivers State Peace Initiative, Obinna Ebogide, is urging restraint on the part of all factions to the political crisis.
Rivers State is bleeding as a result of this raging crisis. Every other state in the Federation has moved on. Governors are focusing on governance. This is not an election season, but unfortunately, every other day we are related by one and crazy political development, which keeps hampering the progress of this state. And we do know that there can be no progress, there can be no prosperity without peace, without cooperation.
But what should be done by parties to the crisis to ensure peace and rapid development of Rivers State? Some Port Harcourt residents spoke to Arise News.
The advice there is for the governor to have a state broadcast to appeal to those who he has advertently or inadvertently made to derail, that he wants peace. For them to now withdraw or sheath their swords.
Coming to Governor Wike, my appeal to him is that you had a dream for Rivers State. And what should bother you is not how many times sin greets you in a day or does not greet you. What should bother you is if that dream that you dreamt of Rivers State is being actualized. If that dream is being actualized, boss man Wike, just let the man be.
Already, there are those who say the ongoing political crisis is affecting businesses operating in the state and barring new investors, thereby causing undue hardship. They want all parties and their supporters to exercise restraint and prioritize the peace and progress of Rivers State. In Port Harcourt, Izande Omano, Arise News.
All right, Fafaa Princewill is a key stakeholder in Rivers State politics and actually won the governorship ticket of the Labour Party during the last general election before process became mired in controversy. Chief Dan Princewill is here with us this morning, not for the matter, but to weigh in on the worsening crisis enveloping politics in the state. Good morning, sir. Good to have you join us in the studio.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. Rivers of trouble.
I don't want my beautiful Rivers State to be termed like
exactly.
that.
And one position of yours that sits very well with me is that in approaching the issues, bedeviling River State, that it must be approached by de-emphasizing partisanship.
Yes.
You're a key stakeholder.
Yes.
Where are we? What brought all this about again? I mean, since October, when it looks like, things were going to go very south, but then there was a temporary relief. Now we're back to a position where it looks like the governor might be impeached. It looks like the governor is fighting back, with all his strength. What do you think is going on? Is this just strictly a survivor game between Governor Fubara, or it's about a godfather who is refusing to let go?
I think to understand the River State problem, because it's been continuous. It's been on since this republic, that is 1999 till this time. And the reasons are very simple. We inherited a fractured platform. That is, politics in River State was fractured because Bayelsa was created, and what was left had to readjust itself to new realities. River State was basically, before Bayelsa left, a riverine an Ijaw state of some sort, with due respect to all others in the state. But part of the restructuring argument nationally is that a lot of our states and even our country do have structural problems. So River State, when Bayelsa left, Bayelsa is wholly Ijaw, and Bayelsa left, leaving behind in River State more Ijaws than the whole of Bayelsa. Many people don't know that, but the numbers are huge, okay? And it's the largest group still in the state, okay? But it has changed, the state has changed because of that structural change. And before Bayelsa left, was created, there was an agreement to zone the governorship to the non-Ijaw groups. So when River State, when Bayelsa was created, that agreement, it was decided by the elders, which is why I'm surprised River State would now be a state that anybody would say there are no elders, The elders of River State decided that even though Bayelsa had left and it was a new state, that it should be honored and River State should start with a non-Ijaw governor, okay? That was perhaps my most opportune or appropriate time to be governor. And
in 1999?
In 1999. I contested in 91, and at the time I contested against Rufus George. I was one of the youngest contestants. I was a national youth leader and all that. So I know where the skeletons are buried in River State. And at the time, the argument was that I was too young, and part of it was that I could wait. Then it was zoned. We had Governor Odili. By general acceptance, he became governor. So a platform was already broken. He was deputy to Rufus George, and Rufus George and Ijaw, for some reason, the two of them had problems. So the political platform was broken. When Odili came in, he did fairly good. And then he too had a broken platform where his protege, Amechi, and he had issues. I think the nation is aware of all of that.
Absolutely. Then
we had the one of Umehia. Then we went through Amechi himself having a broken platform, And this broken platform brought Wike into, because Wike was a strong man behind Amechi against Odili at the time. But as history would have it, when the platform broke, he went back to Odili, and Amechi was now out. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that the platform, the political platform in the state, a state that was very peaceful, that was all united, everybody working together, became one of continuous breakage of platform. And then now, with Wike, and each time there was a platform break, the person who came out became more assertive, I don't want to say dictatorial, but more assertive than the previous person. So that chain of events continued until we now had Wike, where it's really manifested in full force, okay? He was quite popular at the time too, because, his support of Jonathan and all the politics of it. But we have continuous breakage of platform. That's basically it. So there's a structural problem.
Okay.
So anyone who doesn't understand the structural problem cannot fix it. And it's not easy, even for outsiders, if they do not go deep into understanding what the crisis is about. It's not really Wike or Fubara or Amechi or all of that. They all have their issues, personality issues. But fundamentally, there is a need for the state to regain its unity and camaraderie. And each one that broke away did not break out in a nice form. It's all we are just factional, just like explosions. So they are not like core of each group. So there are too many major stakeholders who are outside politics.
Can I confirm some things with you? Because, you've spoken about the structural issues, and we have seen this play out specifically in Rivers State time and time again with Odili, with Amechi, with Wike, and now with Fubara. Seems to be a tale as old as time. You expect. Exactly. There was a lot of talk that this was expected, just based off of what came before. But you also spoke about the structural differences and maybe the ethnic differences. So I'd like you to clarify, the different ethnicities of the governors, and how you felt like that impacted this disagreement.
The non-Ijaw ones.
Yes, the non-Ijaw ones.
Well, basically, see, I always avoid ethnic discussion. But if you are serious and you want to solve a problem, you have to get to even the not so comfortable, untidy aspects of it.
Yes.
And I think ethnicity is that. When that zoning was done to the upland, then there was a feeling in the state, let me put it that way, that the non-Ijaw no longer wanted any Ijaw again as governor, even though there is still a majority in the state. that it was a feeling, okay? And so Fubara now is the first governor from Ijaw in 24 years, and is a large group, the largest group. So it has its own ramifications. He was not in politics. He was not part of the entire thing. He was selected by Wike, but he's an Ijaw nonetheless. So some people are guided by ethnic politics alone, or as a major part of it. So it has the potential of very serious what would I call it? Very serious ramifications, both for the state and nationally. We had similar issues that brought about the militancy. A lot of the militancy was due to this fractured political situation of the states. Okay? And state capture has its practical manifestation in Rivers State. Anyone who wants to study state capture is welcome to Rivers State to see it. So a few people get together, they capture the state, and they rule in the name of an ethnic group or in the name of some political thing. Unfortunately for us, all of this coincides with a time in Nigeria when all the political parties are jaundiced. There isn't a single sane political party in Nigeria today. Unfortunately, because of its own structural issues of the nation itself. That is, we are going through many things in Nigeria, and our political processes reflect it. The political parties are not functioning properly. A lot of, and you can't blame individuals. I try to avoid, I'd like to understand things from the fundamental the forces at play.
Yes.
The forces at play. President Obasanjo came to power in 1999. We saw what happened. We saw what he tried to do as a nationalist and all of that. We saw the ethnic factors. We denied it, but there were issues,
yes.
and it has continued. Which means that for Rivers State in particular, we welcome anyone and everyone who can assist the state to reposition and reconcile, things. It's very difficult.
You think that help or to make sense of all this, to rescue the state, you think help or assistance will have to come from outside, or you think that it is
from
totally
outside the main players? They have no solutions.
You don't see reconciliation?
They can't, because there is no history of reconciliation of any faction that broke away in 1999 till date. Every single break of a platform was permanent. So there is no history, and it was predicted that this is what would happen. In fact, it was a basis under which some people persuaded me, to try to run, because the state has reached a point where they are all victims. There is what I call, I'll say that because we all knew each other very well, some much younger, but you knew them.
Yes.
They were, it's a very close-knit group.
Yes.
No one thought Rivers State would be like this.
Do you think the people are suffering due to this distraction, I would say, between Siminalayi Fubara and his predecessor, Nyesom Wike? Do you think that governance has taken a back seat in Rivers State, and what the implications are for the people of Rivers State?
The first victim of political crisis,
yes,
are the people.
Correct. Let me go back to the issue of help, because you think that the warring factions might not reconcile. In October, when this trouble got to a head, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu stepped in, invited the warring factions to Abuja, and produced what is now loosely known in the political circle in Rivers State as the Tinubu Agreement, which the two of them signed off on. What do you think has happened to that agreement? There are reports that the governor says that it has served its purpose and that things have changed. Now, when you say that there are ethnic underpinnings, what about the rule of law? Because there are cases in court, and cases will be decided by court. Do you think it will matter which ethnic group would, get the short end of the stick, when the cases are now being decided?
No, see, I don't want it to seem as if I'm saying that it's all ethnic. It's not, but it's a factor. It's a factor, an unpleasant factor. When the agreement was put together,
yes,
I think a lot of those who know Rivers State knew that the agreement could not hold. Okay, I think the players themselves were certain the agreement would not hold, because, and also the way it was presented, it was presented. If you know Rivers State is a very proud state. It's a state where. Like Nigeria,
the South people.
Yes, like Nigeria, they feel that there is something, and when you hand it over to the state, even if the players were agreed, a lot of the states did not accept the agreement. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Okay. The reason for that was that it did not seem to address any of the fundamentals.
The issues, yeah.
It didn't. And then he introduced...
But the governor signed anyway.
Yes, they always do. They all do. They always do. And you can't blame him either. You know, you don't go to a meeting with the president and say you are not signing. You know,
and be stubborn.
You and be stubborn. You know, it won't be wise. Okay. It also he probably also thought that he could manage it. You see, but it also comes, you know, from. I'm not even sure that he has a full, because he is not a typical politician. Also in the state, so he may not be in full.
I want to ask you because, you know, there has been some, I would say, murmurs that he is being supported by the former governor, Peter Odili, and that might be his political backing. Do you see any of that in Rivers State?
Well, see, that's another thing. You know, as much as possible, I like to avoid to personalize things, but they are part of the factors. Okay, the faction, you know, of the political group in the state that got power under Odili was a faction within a party, you know, in which I was a member of the NRC. Yeah. The SDP is fully not in the picture. So to a large extent, this breakage of platform has continued. Yes. So you have a lot of people outside politics. Okay. So when the former governor, Nyesom Wike, had issues with his own governor at the time, Amechi, he ran to Odili. Okay. You know, and the ticket that was put together in Rivers State has a deputy governor as a supposed nominee of Odili. Okay. So Odili is has a vested interest in the Fubra ticket because the deputy is supposed to be his nominee. Okay. And because of that, the former governor would think that he's going along with Fubara because he has a vested interest in the ticket. In the ticket. He's duty bound to protect. Even though he was the one, Wike, who created the ticket, but he has his former Oga who has an interest in the ticket. So those are all the factors, you know. Yeah. So Odili is not Ijo, you know. So it is very clear that the factions are not just ethnic, you know. It's very clear, but they're also political. They are also political. But they can play them as though they are ethnic. People use whatever they think is viable, but basically we have a major problem. Are you Ijo, sir? I am, you know. Proudly so.
That was just a question. But where I'm going actually...
But my politics is not ethnic.
It's not ethnic. That's fine. That should be applauded. Yes. A lot of people will look at what is happening in Rivers State today, particularly between, you know, Governor Fubara and former Governor Wike, Minister of the SCT, as a question of godfatherism on the one hand and loyalty on the other hand. Yes. Yes, I know, I appreciate all the other factors that you have described. But at the end of the day, do you think that those who are saying that you can't bite the fingers that fed you are right? Or this is just a survival battle that you also can't discountenance?
No, I think both issues, you know, that you raised in politics are very important. Loyalty, there's no politics if there's no loyalty. Loyalty is key. And loyalty from the leader to the people, and from the people to the leader. And loyalty also among the team that assists you to get power. Okay? I have no difficulty understanding some issues about godfatherism. Non-politicians misunderstand it. Non-politicians misunderstand it. But a true politician knows that there are people that you give extra respect to because of their position in the state, their role in getting you elected, and there are many factors. So to just say that you don't like your godfather anymore could be opportunistic, very easily. And a lot of people will find it difficult to trust somebody who doesn't like his father. But at the same time, I think when people say godfatherism, they are really not talking about that kind of father-son thing.
Yes.
Really what they are talking about is one where is servitude, where the words are stronger, where the person is treated like subhuman, Of course, everyone would quarrel with that. But to a large extent, we have breakage in platforms, we have difficulty, and people have to look at the issues deeper. I'm a lawyer, and there are many legal issues involved.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And these legal issues cannot be wished away by anyone.
No.
Speaking of those actual legal issues that you mentioned, we do have some judgments coming out, including one saying that the House of Reps members who are loyal to Nyesom Wike and have maybe abandoned the party are no longer members. House of Assembly. Yes. My apologies. The House of Assembly members are, as the governor said, irrelevant. I guess they have vacated the seats, and also now that the governor has announced, Imlaya Fubara has announced that the House of Assembly meetings would take place in the government house.
Via an executive order.
Via an executive order, while the renovations are going on for the actual House of Assembly building. So how do you feel about the legalities of these?
The first thing is that the timing of the State Assembly members quitting their political party under which they contested and won.
Yes.
The timing of it was as bad as it could be. It was not properly timed. First of all, there was no reason for it. Because there's no political issue at this point. So they could have remained in their party, and whatever instructions they wanted to take from the minister in Abuja, they could have done. But I do not know, and in politics there are reasons why that time had to be. I'm not privy to the reasons, but what they did announce, and they have not denied that they are no longer members of the political party that elected them.
That's right.
So clearly a legal issue is at hand. You can't ignore it. The agreement did not address it. The agreement, the 8-point agreement, just said go back and everybody continue to keep the status quo. So it's failed to address that. And it is not within the powers of the governor, with due respect, for him to pronounce on constitutional issues.
And unilaterally.
Unilaterally so. It is not. So even if he tolerated it for 1 million years, it's still an illegality. I think that much is clear legally. But in law, there is process. Even if you are illegal, some court of law has to declare you illegal before, So there's a process, which is part of what is also causing this. And we also know that apart from the problems of the political parties, the Nigerian judiciary also has a problem when it comes to political cases.
That's right.
You see, the judiciary is many times abused and treated shabbily across the board. But really, it's not an across-the-board problem. Our judgments, our judiciary have problems with political cases, not other cases. By and large, I think the integrity of the judiciary is in place when it comes to non-political issues. But when it comes to political issues, again, because of the structural issues and political, problems, they have difficulty. So the time it takes for the judgments to be made, the piecemeal approach, a lot of those things all fuel the crisis, And I just think that the country has to look at the River State issue with deep seriousness because it has implications for the nation at large. Governor Odili did say that things that happen in River State have national consequences. He overemphasized it in my view, but it's a fact.
It is.
It's a fact. We have seen it over and over again.
Okay.
The militancy thing is simmering.
That's right. All right. As we begin to wrap up, I know that when it comes to when you're in the trenches politically, the rule of law suffers.
Yes.
Do you, two questions, sir. Do you see the possibility, remote possibility, of Governor Fubara being removed at all? And what will be your specific advice, first, to the warring factions, and secondly, to the larger, polity nationally, as to how to come in to ensure that River State does not descend to political anarchy?
One thing is clear. Political process always ends up at the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Because you go to court, you go through the process, and that's the law. That's what democracy is about. So when it gets to predict what the Supreme Court is going to do, I think in a political case in Nigeria is way beyond me. We have had a lot of cases, and it's difficult to predict that. I think the law is pretty clear. It's unambiguous. But actual political judgment, given the realities on the ground, may be more complicated. But one thing is also definite. The consequences would not be also predictable. Okay? A lot of these things were predicted before now. Because in River State, we had the party collapse in the nation is exaggerated in some states, including River State. The parties, whether PDP couldn't do primaries, APC couldn't primaries, Labour Party, no one could do primaries and be happy with their process.
That's right.
That's what happened, I was even part of that. I decided to have some dignified withdrawal because there is no benefit to anyone. And the people suffer. People in River State are already suffering.
That's right.
At this time of national difficulty, you need your governor to have full attention to be able to deal with the issues, which are difficult in themselves. But when he's fighting for survival, he's fighting for, what do you expect? So the people are really, at the end, the ultimate victims of what's going on in River State.
All right, Chief Dan Princewill, we want to thank you for joining us on the morning show today, and thanks for the brilliant insight into the issues in River State politics. Thank you so much.
It's my joy. Thank you very much.
Thank you.